10 Worst Nymphomaniacs from Hollywood's Golden Era. They were America's sweethearts by day and Hollywood's most insatiable devourers by night. Forget what the tabloids whispered. These stars weren't chasing fame. They were chasing flesh, frenzy, and forbidden love behind closed studio doors. The golden age shimmered with diamonds and silk, but under that gloss was a feverish undercurrent few dared to name. So what if I told you that behind those Oscar smiles lay obsessions so wild they shocked even the town built on scandal? Ready to meet Hollywood's darkest desires? Tallulah Bankhead. Tallulah Bankhead wasn't just a wild woman, she was a one-woman hurricane of sex, wit, and southern heat. A stage actress turned silver screen siren, Bankhead carved her legacy with a whiskey-soaked voice and an unfiltered mouth that left censors shaking. Code? What code? She'd snarl, referring to the Hayes morality rules. I'm pure as the driven slush. By the time she strutted into Hollywood, she had already torn through Broadway and half of Manhattan's male elite, and quite a few women too. She didn't hide her appetite, she flaunted it. According to gossip, she once bragged about sleeping with 500 men and twice as many women. And if the numbers weren't dizzying enough, her stamina became legendary. One anecdote tells of her collapsing on set after a 3-day bender, muttering, "I only regret that I didn't do more men before noon." She adored younger actors, musicians, writers, anyone who could keep up. Gary Cooper, Hattie McDaniel, Billie Holiday. The rumor mill never stopped grinding. In a world where women were told to be chaste, Tallulah was a full-blown rebel queen. But her passions had a dark side too. She was hospitalized repeatedly for exhaustion, venereal disease, and breakdowns that even MGM couldn't spin into charm. By the late 50s, the roles dried up, and so did the parties. She died alone, but unrepentant. In her final days, she famously quipped, "If I had to live my life again, I'd make all the same mistakes, only sooner." Now tell me, how does a woman like that vanish from Hollywood's memory? Dryson, Cynthia Errol Flynn, the original bad boy of the bedroom. Errol Flynn didn't just play swashbucklers. He was one. With that devil-may care grin and a blade always at his side and in his pants, Flynn turned every studio lot into his personal pirate ship. And let's be honest, he didn't earn the nickname "In Like Flynn" for his swordplay. Flynn's bedroom antics were infamous. He was sued multiple times for statutory rape, cases he narrowly escaped, mostly due to high-powered studio lawyers and character witnesses who swore he was just misunderstood. But Hollywood insiders whispered darker things: parties filled with underage girls, yacht orgies off the coast of Catalina, drugs, champagne, and sex as casual as cigarettes. He even allegedly installed a mirror above his bed and a two-way window in his Hollywood home, because voyeurism was more fun than monogamy. His libido burned so hot, even he couldn't keep up. At one point, he was taking injections of testosterone just to maintain performance. As his looks faded, so did the roles, but not the appetite. One of his last lovers claimed Flynn kept a little black book so lurid, even Hugh Hefner would have blushed. He didn't seduce women, she said. He conquered them. But behind the machismo was a man collapsing under his own excess. He drank like he was trying to forget something. Maybe the loneliness, maybe the masks. Flynn died at 50. His liver practically disintegrated. But his legend lives on, not just in film, but in whispered stories of what really happened after the director yelled, "Cut." So, was Flynn Hollywood's golden rogue or its most dangerous romantic? Mae West didn't need to chase lovers. She had them lining up like casting calls. Draped in diamonds and dripping innuendo, she turned every room she entered into a private audition. "Too much of a good thing can be wonderful," she cooed, and she meant it. West was writing plays about sex before women were even allowed to say the word. In her infamous Broadway hit Sex, she was arrested for corrupting the morals of youth, which only made her more famous. By the time she hit Hollywood, the censors were panicking. Her films were dripping with innuendo. "She Done Him Wrong," "I'm No Angel," "My Little Chickadee," all cleverly coded erotic comedies. But off-screen, there was no coding. She once claimed to sleep with 3 men a day, just to keep the stress down. West was known for keeping a stable of muscular young men on call, literally. She called them bodyguards, but everyone in the industry knew what their job description really was. Her home became the stuff of legend. Red velvet everywhere, ceiling mirrors, even a sex swing rumored to be custom, built by a set designer from King Kong. She never married, never apologized, and never stopped pushing the line. She made millions from sex appeal and turned it into a brand long before Madonna or Marilyn ever dreamed of it. But here's the real twist. Mae West wasn't just a nymphomaniac, she was a strategist. She used sex the way others used power. So the next time you hear a starlet flirt with the camera, remember, Mae did it first. And dirtier. Howard Hughes. Howard Hughes wasn't just a genius inventor or reclusive billionaire. He was Hollywood's most obsessive womanizer, a man whose lust wasn't about pleasure, but control. When he wasn't building planes or defying death, Hughes was meticulously crafting a private harem of actresses, debutantes, and wannabe stars. He kept dossiers on each, recording their habits, preferences, and even menstrual cycles. Creepy? Definitely. But in 1930s Hollywood, power made anything possible. He reportedly dated Ava Gardner, Katharine Hepburn, Rita Hayworth, Lana Turner, and that was just January. Actresses would show up to his penthouse not knowing they were the third or fourth visitor that day. Hughes was a surveillance junkie. He had phone lines tapped, tailors bribed, and maids paid to report on the cleanliness of lingerie drawers. Women were contracts. Lovers were inventory. And the sex? Clinical. Cold. Methodical. One woman said sleeping with Hughes felt like being examined under a microscope. Another recalled he liked to watch, quiet, distant, cataloging everything. As the years wore on, his obsessions deepened. He holed up in darkened rooms, urinated in bottles, and still summoned women, young, fresh, barely legal, flown in on private jets to satisfy cravings that had long since left the realm of passion and entered pathology. By the time Hughes died, he was a shell of a man, bones sticking through paper skin, fingernails like claws. But even then, they found a list of young starlets in his safe, names marked approved. So, was Hughes a genius lost to madness, or a predator hiding behind brilliance? Oh, Zaza Gabor. Zaza Gabor wasn't just a star. She was a Hungarian hurricane in heels, swirling through Hollywood with diamonds, drama, and a libido that could melt platinum. She married 9 times. 9. And when asked about it, she purred, "I am a marvelous housekeeper. Every time I leave a man, I keep his house." Zaza was the original Real Housewife, except her show was the red carpet. Her lovers weren't just husbands, they were bankers, producers, royalty. She had a brief, steamy fling with Porfirio Rubirosa, the Dominican playboy known for his legendary bomb equipment. She later bragged, "He was my best souvenir." But here's where things got wild. Zaza didn't believe in discretion. She once slapped a cop in Beverly Hills for giving her a ticket and then told reporters, "He touched my jewels. Now I touch his badge." Her bedroom was a revolving door of luxury and lust. Gold, plated mirrors, silk sheets, and the faint scent of Chanel No. 5 mixed with scandal. One of her exes claimed she demanded sex twice a day, minimum, and if he couldn't keep up, he was out. She didn't marry for love. She married for sparkle and sizzle. By the time she reached her later years, her antics had become legend. But beneath the glamour was a woman who lived exactly how she wanted, loudly, lavishly, and with zero regrets. So ask yourself, was Zaza a sex addict, or just the first woman in Hollywood to treat men the way they treated women? Frank Sinatra. Old Blue Eyes didn't just sing love songs. He lived them, with a rotating cast of lovers that would make Don Juan blush. Frank Sinatra had a voice that melted ice and eyes that promised sin. And he delivered. From Ava Gardner to Marilyn Monroe, from Angie Dickinson to Mia Farrow, Sinatra's bed saw more stars than the Walk of Fame. Ava Gardner called him 11 pounds of dynamite in a 5-pound bag, and she wasn't talking about his voice. Their relationship was volcanic. Drunken fights, passionate makeup sex, smashed chandeliers, the whole noir package. Frank had a type, beautiful, broken, and dangerous. But he also had stamina. Between marriages, he didn't slow down. He'd reportedly sleep with showgirls between Vegas sets, then fly to Palm Springs for midnight trysts with political wives and heiresses. The Rat Pack weren't just crooners. They were Casanovas, and Frank was their king. The Vegas hotels knew to block off entire floors when he was in town. Privacy wasn't a luxury. It was a requirement. And yet, like a true romantic addict, Sinatra kept searching. Sex was easy. But love? That was his elusive high. Mia Farrow said he needed a woman in his bed just to sleep. He couldn't stand being alone. He once told a friend, "Every song I sing is about someone I fucked or wanted to." Frank Sinatra was smooth, scandalous, and soft all at once. A crooner with a curse. He could charm any woman, but never quite keep one. So what was Sinatra addicted to? Sex, or the ache of heartbreak? Joan Crawford. Joan Crawford was Hollywood royalty. Arched brows, shoulder pads, and a stare that could slice glass. But behind the stern elegance, a woman with appetites few could satisfy, and even fewer dared to try. They called her the Iron Maiden of MGM, but in private, Joan's bedroom was velvet, lined, candle, lit, and fiercely alive. Rumors of same-sex affairs followed her like a perfume trail, from Greta Garbo to Marilyn Monroe, yet she always denied it, with a wink. One Hollywood housekeeper swore Joan kept a drawer filled with silk blindfolds, riding crops, and handcuffs. Nothing the studio ever gave her, she quipped. And her sex life, surgical in its scheduling. She was said to start each day with a cigarette, coffee, and a phone call to line up the evening's date. But perhaps the most disturbing whispers came from behind the closed doors of her early years in silent cinema. Joan, then a struggling starlet, allegedly took part in stag films, blue reels traded among elite collectors. Some claimed they were what bought her first big break. Later, when married to actor Franchot Tone, she reportedly installed a mirror behind their headboard to study performance. She wasn't joking. Bette Davis once famously said, "She slept with every male star at MGM, except Lassie." Was that shade or fact? Joan Crawford was a master of reinvention, but her need for control bled into the bedroom, and her insatiability, fueled by power, pain, and trauma, left behind a legacy soaked in both glamour and grit. So, was she the ultimate starlet, or the studio system's most dangerous creation? The Clark Gable. Clark Gable looked like he walked out of a romance novel. Rugged jaw, crooked grin, and a musk of masculinity that turned directors and damsels weak-kneed. But that wasn't cologne. That was confidence, and something far more carnal. Nicknamed the King of Hollywood, Gable didn't just rule the box office. He ruled bedrooms from coast to coast. Lore has it that he seduced half the chorus line of 42nd Street in one weekend and left them all smiling. He had a particular fondness for young, starry-eyed ingenues. Judy Garland, Carole Lombard, Joan Crawford. Some verified, others whispered behind studio walls. He preferred spontaneity. His driver once revealed that Gable had a hidden compartment in his limo stocked with champagne, condoms, and silk sheets, just in case. But there was a darker side. Gable had charm, yes, but also control. Multiple women accused him of aggressive, even manipulative behavior. Loretta Young bore his secret child after a supposed date that many now re-examine with uncomfortable hindsight. Still, no one could resist him. He walked onto sets like a lion into a den. He spoke in gruff poetry, and when he smiled, studio lights flickered. His on-screen persona, rough around the edges but undeniably magnetic, wasn't an act. It was an extension of the same force that drove his endless pursuits. But the king had his kingdom ripped away when Lombard, his great love, died tragically in a plane crash. After that, the passion turned colder, quieter. He still slept around, but it became routine, not romance. So ask yourself, was Gable just a product of his time, or a predator in a tailored tux? Marlene Dietrich. Marlene Dietrich wasn't just ahead of her time, she was outside of it, entirely. The German import with cheekbones sharp enough to kill and a voice like smoked silk. Dietrich was the very definition of fluid desire. Men? Women? Both? She didn't care. She famously quipped, "I do not care for men who are attractive to women. I prefer men who are attractive to me." She dressed in tuxedos, wooed both Gary Cooper and Greta Garbo, and turned androgyny into an aphrodisiac. Dietrich's bedroom stories were the stuff of myth. She reportedly had a rotating cast of lovers who called her the General, not for her coldness, but her command. One female lover said Marlene was the most masculine man I ever met. One male said she seduced like a woman, but hunted like a man. She was, as they say, everything. Her favorite pastime? Turning straight women. And often, she succeeded. When she wanted you, she didn't seduce. She invaded. In Paris, Berlin, Hollywood, Dietrich kept apartments, liaisons, and an army of servants who arranged, cleaned, and protected her affairs. She had affairs with Edith Piaf, Mercedes de Acosta, John Gilbert, Yul Brynner. The list goes on, and all of it wrapped in a mystery. She kept no diaries, no scandals hit the papers, because Marlene was a master of the illusion. She gave the world what it wanted, and took what she needed. So, was she addicted to sex or addicted to freedom? It's the Nasa Jean Harlow. Jean Harlow didn't walk, she sizzled. At just 5'1", with platinum blonde hair and bedroom eyes, Harlow wasn't just a sex symbol. She was sex, personified. Dubbed the original blonde bombshell, Harlow's fame exploded overnight with Hell's Angels and Red Dust. But it wasn't just her roles that lit up the screen. It was her insatiable hunger for real, life pleasure. She was married 3 times before the age of 25. And her lovers included everyone from actors to mobsters. It's said she had a standing lunch date every day, in bed, and lunch wasn't sandwiches. Her second husband, MGM producer Paul Byrne, reportedly couldn't keep up with her and took his own life just months after their wedding. A chilling note was found. She's too much for any one man. She was. Harlow loved fast cars, faster men, and champagne baths. Her studio contract had a clause forbidding her from public acts of affection, but behind closed doors, she was a firestorm. Spencer Tracy, William Powell, Clark Gable, her name was carved into Hollywood's inner circles like initials on a lipstick mirror. But like many stars who burned too hot, Harlow's story ended tragically. At just 26, she collapsed on set and never recovered. Her kidneys gave out. Some say it was from years of alcohol, sex, and stress. Others whisper poison or a botched abortion. Whatever the truth, her legend lives on in silk gowns and scandal-laced scripts. So was Jean Harlow a doomed romantic, or a woman who simply wanted to live louder than the world allowed? And they were the stars you thought you knew, but behind the velvet ropes, they were addicts of desire, slaves to passion, and prisoners of fame. Hollywood's golden age wasn't clean. It was chaotic, carnal, and full of secrets that still echo down Sunset Boulevard. Which name shocked you the most? Or did they all? Drop your jaw and your comments below. Hit that like button and subscribe for more forbidden Hollywood truths that were never meant to see the light. Until next time, keep your eyes wide and your whispers louder.